You already know where.
Saucy over here.
Know where you going.
Russell Westbrook become as toxic as Carmelo Anthony?
No. He's in a more protected place than Carmelo, who became bullseye for all the targeting and people just attacking him. Sometimes with good merit, but look, the effort that Russell Westbrook exudes and the loyalty he showed to his small market.
To the contract they get.
Well, call it what we want. You get paid somewhere else, too, and you didn't take it. I think that's what's going to protect them in this situation. But there are obvious parallels you already outlined, though. But I think because Carmelo at times was questioning effort, certainly was questioning loyalty, and he chose the money elsewhere in the biggest market we have versus Westbrook took a lot of money to stay in the smallest market. I think that's going to be the difference.
There's no comparison. And toxic is still even a strong word for Carmelo. Carmelo just wasn't as good as his contract demanded that he be.
You can have him for a bag of peanuts right now. Nobody wants him, Rick.
That's fine, but that doesn't necessarily make him toxic. It makes him a difficult fit because he's a star. He's a classic star who doesn't know that he's not a star anymore. Grant Hill made that adjustment. Jason Kidd made that adjustment. Allen Iverson did not make that adjustment. Could have still played in the league much longer. Carmelo Anthony could be in the league. Last I checked, he was a 16-point-a-game scorer for Oklahoma City. Yeah. He can still play. And Russell Westbrook. Westbrook is not a ball stopper. He is in shape. The comparison here is nutty. I mean, look, has he struggled in the postseason? Yes. But if you're leading the league 3 years in a row in assists, don't tell me that you don't make your teammates better.
Who would trade for him right now with that contract and the fact it's hard to win big with him? Nobody would trade for
Lakers.
Russell Westbrook.
Nobody? The Lakers.
Lakers would trade for
the Lakers. I know the Lakers would. Heck, you know them.
And he's playing with LeBron James.
And he's box office.
You know what? I'll tell you this. There's another team out there, a GM. I had this conversation over the weekend. Would take him that has the opportunity in another major market.
Who?
He can't tell you.
I can't name names.
Jim, name the player Russell Westbrook's made better.
Steven Adams.
Oh, he's
killed
Steven. Steven Adams should be a star. You put him with any other team.
Be a star?
Because they need to be feeding this guy in the post. They should have been developing.
But he's not a feeding post player. He's
with another team.
He's not. He's better in the pick and roll. Yeah. He can roll to the basket and then
Let's don't talk.
Okay. Let's talk Westbrook. I'm gonna take it a step. I think the parallel here is the contracts and getting stuck with Carmelo's contract and Westbrook's later on. But to me, he's more in the conversation of Allen Iverson. Okay, because Allen. The biggest thing with Allen as he got older, because he didn't conventionally play the point guard position, as he got older and went to Memphis, went to Detroit, went to Denver, he wasn't as athletic, he couldn't get by guys, and he wasn't playing the point guard position like a point guard. Yeah. So now he became a liability. Now teams looked at him and said, well, we don't really want to pay you or use you in this capacity at the two-guard position because we can get younger and someone else, because Allen never accepted the fact that playing point guard was more than just scoring, okay? It was the mental aspect. Now, I will say that under Larry Brown, he started to get it a little bit more with Larry. Once he got divorced from that.
Go back to Westbrook, though.
Okay, here he is. So Westbrook is the same way because he's not your prototypical point guard, okay? The question for me is on the back end of it. What happens when that intensity, that athleticism goes down?
But when you say
and they're paying him $47 million for one season.
But here's the distinction with Allen. Allen never tried to make that shift. I saw in Russ Westbrook this year try to make that shift.
But you know why he tried
to Paul George.
But you see why you know why he made that?
Schroeder.
Because he was able to have another player like that. Allen caught it on the back end with Carmelo in Denver. But he wasn't the same Allen Iverson. In Philly, they specifically built, and I was there his second year, Larry's first year. They built the team around him to have complementary players so AI can do his thing. And basically brought in Eric Snow to sometimes put Allen off the ball. We haven't seen that with Russell Westbrook.
He won't allow it.
No.
He did early on.
Well, a little bit, but he won't allow it because, I'm going to go back to this. Billy Donovan, Scotty Brooks, they're not the kind of coaches that demand that.
Mo Cheeks.
Mo Cheeks is assistant coach. That had nothing to do with it. The head coaches don't demand that kind of discipline from, and They don't require him to do certain things. They don't put an onus on him. That Larry
He's in
Brown
control.
Okay.
He's got a huge contract.
But
he's
that's
uncontrollable.
No,
he's Frankenstein.
Let me tell you something. Pat Riley, I'm going to go back to this. Popovich, I don't care what kind of contract you got. You still got to answer to those two. I don't care what contract you got. So it depends on who's in that first seat.
Okay, but Jim, admit this, and I know y'all.
You telling me to admit it already?
No, admit.
I know, right?
Admit
Objection.
Just admit
Leading
it.
the witness.
And then I'm gonna-
Lead the witness.
And then I'm going to tell you what you're admitting to.
Sustained.
Admit this. Was there a coach that could ever control Allen Iverson?
Yeah, Larry Brown.
Oh, stop it.
He controlled him. You can't control that kind of person on everything they do, but you can have him grow in areas that he didn't grow before.
For a moment.
But that's
Larry
what he
Brown
did.
Okay, let's pull apart the parallels and stay right here on this topic. One, Phil Jackson said it best. There's nothing more difficult than coaching an aging star. Because when you're going down the hill, you're not necessarily thinking you're going down the hill. You think you're plateaued. Mm-hmm. If you look at Carmelo and his impact of going to the Knicks in that trade, they did, after his first year when they won 54 games and Coach Woodson, they didn't win more than 37 games again. Ever. Whereas you look at Westbrook and what they're doing to OKC, say their first round exits post KD, they have not lost fewer than 45 games ever. In a loaded West, this is still a team that's going out there and a 6 seed. So I think the impact won't ever be comparable if you talk about Westbrook.
Here's the other part. They brought Derrick Rose in. They tried to bring some pieces in to reestablish what they could do with Carmelo Anthony. Mm-hmm. Carmelo Anthony wanted no part of that. This is the great distinction, this is the great distinction between Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony. Paul George stayed. They brought Dennis Schroeder in. Russ has tried to make room for them on the floor. Right. He's tried to make it work. Now, what's sad for me is it hasn't, which
Rick,
scares me
as
whether it
journalist.
can.
You're a journalist. You keep using the word try instead of Westbrook has made room for them. He has tried.
Right.
And again, you're using the word try for intentionally because you know it hasn't worked. Because Russell Westbrook is damn near impossible to coach. His contract's too enormous. He's got Oklahoma City by the balls, and he's uncoachable.
This becomes a matter of character. The question is, does Russ want to win or does Russ want to have it his way? And
Does he want to win his way? That's what you're saying.
Yes, exactly. And I've seen enough guys who have changed. LeBron James being the biggest example. When he went to Miami and they lost the first year, he realized, I'm going to have to play a different way. I'm going to have to play below the free throw line. I'm going to have to stop shooting threes. I'm going to buy into the system and find out how to get this done. And they did. So I don't want to take it away from Russ. I don't want to take away the possibility
You're right.
that Russ would say...
Did Russ pull this when Carmelo was sidelined and Linsanity was going on? Laughing at it if you want. It was buckets. You know what Carmelo was like? He's not on my squad. Right? Somebody who could be an asset for whatever value that is. I've never seen that from Westbrook. Like, we're going to pull in the same direction.
Okay, I agree with that. That is the distinction. Okay. But Westbrook has a problem. Look, we've identified Carmelo has a different problem than Westbrook. Okay. Westbrook has a different problem than Carmelo, and it's his anger. It's the emotion, the lack of control of his emotions. That's his kryptonite, and it's not getting fixed. And I was right there with Rick. I used to sit here with Colin Cowherd 3 years ago and argue about Westbrook, and I'm like, oh, he's too young. Don't give up on him. He can change. He can change. He can't change.
But here's the thing. To your thing about LeBron, when he went down to Miami, who was there?
Pat.
And okay, so you put an Eric Spoelstra in that wasn't as seasoned, but you had Pat.
No, you had Pat right behind you.
You had Pat right behind you.
Then.
Okay? We haven't seen that with OKC.
Agreed.
We haven't seen somebody in that seat
Agreed.
that has that level of control.
Here's the challenge on that. They're few and far between.
I know.
I don't know who you're going to get to bring in there to do it.
But I'm saying, you can't say he can't do it if you haven't seen it.
Well, how about just give in to Billy Donovan and try it his way? Just try that.
Billy Donovan's got to ask for that.
Exactly.
Like LeBron should have.